So good evening, everyone. It's yes. Before I proceed with the stories of the Piao, uh, we have the a great thanks to Khaki, and yes, the Khaki color is favorite of mine too, and almost I think it connects us to the earth. And interesting facet is that today we are talking of another favorite color, which which is blue, which is related to water. So khaki and the blue, the water blue, they, even though in contrast, they complement each other. So with that note, I'll just start my conversation. Okay. Uh, so what's a piao? I'll just directly go. Let's go to the germination of the idea. The piao is, we would call it a confluence of a European concept of the drinking water fountain, which is a utilitarian aspect, and the the inherent qualities in Indian culture, namely charity and memory, a confluence of all this. So it is that memorial with a utilitarian aspect, and that gives rise to a beautiful architectural expression uh, in the urban context, which we call it as a piao. The piao, actually, the colloquial expression in the tone in the word piao also actually we would know. Of course, we can't say exactly how it has originated, but yes, it has a beautiful kind of a tonal aspect to it. So as you see on the screen, you have the European drinking water fountain, and then you have is actually of a Panpoi, which almost like a 700-year-old Panpoi on the at the village of Shirwar on the Mumbai-Bangalore highway, and that is one of its kind which is now remaining, and that actually has earthen pots, that stone pots, which were filled with water, and this is one of the only remnants. So that is what actually how water used to be dispensed. And then you have present day bore wells. And interestingly, on the right hand corner of the screen, you would see something like a fire hydrant. This I came across at Jammu. There you call they call it as a nalka. So that's a kind of a, I would say, a kind of a brother to the Piao in Mumbai. It also dots the town of Jammu. So coming to Mumbai, so the Mumbai in Mumbai the term Piao was used for this drinking water fountains, basically, which dot the city. Sorry, just hold on. It's just going back. I'm sorry. So when we talk of Mumbai, as you see in the mural, this mural is at the Mahatma Phule Mandai, which formerly was the Crawford Market. So it depicts the water in its different kind of utility aspect of the person drawing water, the woman which is carrying water. So it actually, the Piao is a crucial part of the socio-cultural heritage of Mumbai. And the interesting aspect is that it is not meant only for humans. When the city, the Mumbai, when the city of Mumbai was growing, and it was actually the city has the Mumbai city has been actually uh, when the city is growing, the need of water is there. So you see this piaus dotting the whole Mumbai skyline, on the whole Mumbai, the whole routes of Mumbai along the tram line or different public spaces. You see them located at strategic locations, And interestingly, they are not only for human beings, they are also for animals. So this kind of a, if you see the illustrations which I have presented in the slide, it is in different forms, but it is surprisingly and very, very uniquely, it is used by the animals also and by the humans also. So what's a pyao? What's a typical pyao? Let's see the kind of a typical architectural expression. Uh, this is just a kind of a representative which I've done. We'll be seeing beautiful shapes and sizes, but this is just to understand. So you have, as you see, a water trough at the bottom, which is meant for the animals. Then you have those water spouts, which are in form of the gargoyles, either like a gomukh or a head of a lion. And you have the water bowls, the water basins. Then you have the centrally located commemorative plaque, which talks about who has donated it, which is the year of establishment, what may be the cost, etc., etc. And then the top is adorned with a pinnacle, a finial, which is in form of a decorative kind of a kalash or a shrine. So actually it gives a sanctity to the whole pyao. So as you see, the pyao doesn't, it goes beyond the utilitarian aspect of mere water dispensing, and it actually becomes a architectural expression. And that is what I would say, that is the aesthetics in public architecture or street furnitures, which today we are missing. I would like to, we are going through this, the interesting aspect which I would like you to notice is that these are mainly kind of street furnitures. Yes, they are of different sizes and shapes, but imagine today looking at a drinking water facility, and just imagine the way they have these beautiful pyaos have been presented. What makes a difference is the aesthetics and the creativity and the sensitivity and the sensibility also with which these have been presented. So if you see, they vary in size and scale, right from a mere 5 to 8 feet tall pedestal, and slowly you see different kind of sizes, shapes, alterations and combinations. It goes to a height of almost like a 20 feet, 20 to 30 feet odd canopy structure. And that is the scale and what is the variety, what the pyao offers itself to the city. And the locations are very strategic. So you take any public space, any garden, any busy marketplace, of course, which were relevant to those times, but they are not irrelevant today. Unfortunately, they were forgotten between a few decades, uh, because if you see, the growth of these pyaos started mainly with the industrialization in the mid 19th century, and then you see them dotting the city and coming up till maybe the mid 20th century. Of course, the use of them also was very active till maybe the 60s or maybe the early 70s, mainly till the 60s, because that time, if you see, tap water had not reached to every households in the city, and therefore drinking water at public space was a very important necessity. And then we would ask that why these pyavs are only in the urban setting of Mumbai city, mainly in the island city. If you see the suburbs, surprisingly, we have only one example, uh, which we see in Bandra, near the St. Andrew Church, where we have an animal pyav. Rest all the pyavs, if you see, are concentrated or mainly in the island city, right from the King Circle till the southern end of Kulaba. But then why don't you see them in the suburbs? The answer is very simple, because all the suburbs had wells. Of course, there are wells in the city also, but mainly the suburbs had wells where they were self-sustaining. And till recent times, the wells were quite active. Today also, the Gauthans in the suburbs are have their own wells. Unfortunately, they need a lot of attention, the same way which the Pyavs also need. So mainly you see this concentration. If you see the red dots here, and on the left hand side, the legend says of the different uh, Pyavs, which we will be going through now. Okay, so this is how the the whole spread, all how you see the Pyavs occurring in the city. So let's now see the beauty in diversity. Actually, I will just pause for a pause my talk, and I will allow you to just experience the beauty, and then maybe I'll just say a few words, because I think let the Pyavs speak for themselves. So we start with mere around about 5 feet tall pedestals, but they are not merely pedestals. If you see, uh, these itself have different variations. The variations in the water bowls, mainly these are human fountains. These are not meant basically for animals. But if you see the expression, it every the means the Pyavs don't have a specific style. If you ask me that what is the style in which is it neo-Gothic, or is it Bombay Gothic, or is it Indo-Saracenic? No, I would say the Pyavs actually is a confluence of different styles, which different styles of in architecture, which we know, and also the materials. So the materials, again, the basic, the very common shade of the stones, which you see here in used in the in the Pyavs, is the yellow ochre, which actually near to khaki, of course. Uh, so the left hand side, if you see, that's a granite Pyav. And surprisingly, then you see the central one, which is opposite to Kyani Bakery today. And then the third one on the right hand side is the Pyav near Parel. And if you read here, these are by Sir Kawaji Jahangir. Now, Sir Kawaji Jahangir is, if you see, when you're going through the whole presentation, you will see this name occurring, because he is one of the, I think, one of the persons who has contributed. Of course, he has contributed in many other ways, but you see his contribution to city in the form of this Pyavs, and many of which today, whatever I'm going to show you, I think there are some Pyavs which the city has been lost to. I was talking to a few friends, we all in Khaki and other places. In fact, one Pyav is totally lost, which I have seen, uh, which I will take at the end of the presentation. You'll be able to see it. So coming back to this a 5 feet or 6 feet tall pedestal, then slowly you see the ornateness coming out. You see the gargoyles, the spouts, the beautiful cornices, the moldings. What's the use? It's like, it is celebration of the activity or the deed of drinking water. It actually, it allows you to. Of course, this is not documented, but I think we need to actually experience this by understanding this, and thinking about this, talking about this itself actually also is celebrating the Pyav, or celebrating the whole aspect of charity, memorables, memories, and definitely drinking water. Again, this gentleman, Mr. Ramji Setiba, he also has donated, and then you see a different kind of the commonality, the common aspect. You see, you have a trough, you have a bowl, you have a pedestal, you have a kind of a arch which actually houses the spout, pedestal by a kind of a molding, a cap, and it actually, it just imagine this dotting the city and a passerby going along. It actually greets you. It actually, it okay. I am here to quench your thirst. I may sound a bit romantic, but yes, I think there is a lot of romanticism in this, and that itself makes it more important as a socio-cultural heritage in the city, which we need to take care of. Okay? And we give it back to us, basically. So again if we see, we have not crossed the height of roundabout. Slowly the piaos are rising in height. Therefore I have actually classified this and divided this as per the uh, uh, detailing and as per the variations. Slowly you see the height rising. Okay, of course there uh, I would like to highlight some interesting aspects. The way city grew, slowly this piaos also went into, you know lot of deterioration. This the use was stopped, and some piaos were actually replaced. They were, they were dismantled. And if you see the central piao, which is the MV Parulkar piao in Dadar, which is near in a municipal garden along the railway track and abutting the Hindu colony, was removed from its original place. I don't know why, and it found itself sandwiched two between the compound wall. It's like hanging in the air. Means if you read the snippets which was going through Facebook, it was mentioned that, do you know a sandwich piao? This is the sandwich piao for you, basically. So all these things, of course, this is kind of a deterioration, I would say. But while mapping this piaos, this interesting facets came out. For example, the left hand side, the Manikji Patel piao, which is at Fairbandar, I got a call at now around about 9 o'clock, because now I have made friends with many localites, and if something is there, they just call me. So as one friend, Mr. Sandeep Maikar, he's quite a heritage enthusiast. He pointed out that, Rahul sir, this XYZ developer is there, and he has actually broken this piao. So then we did what we had to on the phone. I actually talked to the contractor, and I made them aware that how this could go against him. And surprisingly, he reassembled the piao which he had broken. Unfortunately, fortunately the piao was in place, but the hole, he had disturbed the water system. Yes, now we will be actually rehousing this piao to some place. So coming back to the style, if you see the style of the piaos, slowly you see lot of different detailing coming out. And notice the material which I had told, mainly it is stone, and mainly it is mallard stone, which has a yellow ochre kind of a tinge. Mallard stone or trachyte stone, which we call it geologically. These materials are very Bombay centric. The Mallard stone or the Kurla stone with their peculiar kind of shades. I think those things also we need to take notice as heritage enthusiasts, because these are the shades of Mumbai. Now to some very a little more of more stylized piaos, I would say. These are in Rani Bagh, Veer Jizabai, Veer Jiza Mata Udyan in Bhaikala. There are totally, what you see on the left hand side is one piao, which actually there are two piaos of the similar kind of expression. So then you have the Samaldas piao, which is totally broken. And on the right hand side, again, you have this Kimji Mulji piao. Now, when we show the case studies, these are being beautifully restored now in a few days. I think maybe, unfortunately, the lockdown has slowed down the process, but post the lockdown, the tendering has almost been done, and we'll be actually going ahead with the restoration of this beautiful piaos, and they will be available for drinking water facility. But see the style. We are talking about styling. So the piao which you see on the left hand side has grown in size. you see a kind of a spaciousness in it. Again, you see the brackets, which are more of, the Gujarat style, or you have some minarets or kind of, uh, uh, what you say, the finials, which are dotting all the four corners. Okay? And of course, the bowl, which is like a blooming lotus. And not to mention the lion heads, which are the spouts. So see, the typical elements are there, but they are giving an identity, a different identity to the Piao. Of course, on the left hand side, if you see the arches which are there, which are adorning all the four sides, and you have the commemorative plaque, which you are. So you can see the common elements occurring, but with different combinations, alterations, sizes, scales, to create a kind of a architectural expression which you can't put in any style, and that's the beauty. There is no architect of the Piaos. All these have been done, crafted by the natives, funded by the natives. So I would say that I would like to make a statement with humbleness. It would have come ahead in the PPT, but I think it's extempo. So I think these are the initial expressions of a very expressive philanthropic effort, which I would say today we have made it a policy like CSR. So I think these are the best examples of CSR in yesteryears. Now this is very interesting. This is the marble fountain. Now you see a change in material, two very contrasting materials. The marble fountain, which is in near the Kulaba Observatory, uh, you have a water trough around it. The question would be, is it a drinking water? It was documented in Dr. Varsha Shiragavkar's book, which actually Dr. Varsha Shiragavkar has done a very pioneering kind of work on. So the work which I am doing in my humble capacity is the next step of where Dr. Varsha Shiragavkar has stopped, by documenting the whole water heritage, of which drinking water fountains, uh, they comprise almost 50% of the water heritage. I would mention maybe more. Okay, so in that it is mentioned as a drinking water fountain, and yes, you see those small lion heads and spouts basically. So it's a very different kind of expression. Means I don't know, that maybe it's a confluence of passive pleasure fountain and drinking water fountain. The right hand corner is a very interesting thing. You can't see the original structure. It is actually, the housing today, the contemporary housing has hidden the original structure. What you see are the cast iron brackets. These are the only things which are of the original part. We have yet to see it. I have put this in my list of to be restored Piaos to the corporation, but we have to yet to come to that conclusion. We will have to take it off, how it is possible. So I'm just showing this photo just because whatever you see today, we can't actually imagine how it would be. Now this is very interesting. Now first you have a confluence or a coexistence of a human Piao and an animal Piao. You see those water troughs in the front, those are the animal Piaos where the cattle or the horses of the Victoria would actually drink water from. And see the interesting aspect, it's more of a spillover. Okay. And then on the sides, so in the left hand side, that is near Donville. That's a very interesting Piao, which actually when restored, it will really bring us back the memories, because it is in the mill lands. So, the Piaos where the drinking water facilities for the mill workers. If you interestingly, if you see, these are dotting many public spaces near the mills. So today you have the Peninsula Park tower rising behind it. If I show the whole photos, maybe you can, of course, I'm sure you guys will be going along the city after this presentation and try to explore this Piaus. So that's near the Donville. And the very interesting one of my favorites is the Anand Vittal Piao, which is on Gokhale Road, near the Parel Depot. Behind it was a Zendu Pharmaceutical. My senior friends may remember it. And again, therefore, you have a kind of a industrial, setup behind. So maybe it is meant for that, a public space. And today, of course, it is you see the state, but yes, this is not the state it is going to be. It is the work is in pipeline. You'll see the proposal. But let's come to the expression. Of course, this you'll see in detail also. But you see a arch in the central arch. Then you have a beautiful trough coming out of the arch. Then you have those brackets. Then on both the sides, you have pedestals which are adorned by, you'd call kind of a minaret or kapolas, chhatris. And then you have those bowls on both the sides. Which style of architecture you will put in? I think it's not necessary. Everything doesn't have to fit into a style. I think it's celebration of those architectural confluences, and that makes this house very interesting. Okay. Another a very interesting expression. The left hand side is the Piao, which is abutting the Saint Andrew's Church, and I'm very happy that it is well taken off. It is being maintained properly. One of the well maintained Piaos. Of course, the use today can't be because it is meant purely for animals, but still I think it says a lot that we should congratulate the people there. They have maintained it, and the right hand side is, you must be seeing this every day, but we don't take notice. This is right in front of Plaza Theatre, inside the Kotwal Udyan. So I'm sure many of you must have seen this Piao, but we didn't know that this was meant for what it is used. It was just a structure. Okay. Uh, Deteriorations patterns we'll see later, but just to mention, what you see at the bottom, that white part, that is the way, maybe trying to protect it or trying to, but we are hiding a lot of part of the whole piano. But again, see the architectural expression and see the commonality, the common aspect, a centrally located water trough or a water bowl. Then you have those commemorative plaques, which I think are in bilingual. That is interesting. You see this plaques, so the use of, the communities mainly contributing to it. So you have Gujarati plaques, you have English plaques, you have Marathi plaques. It's like, uh, one interesting aspect I would like to bring to your notice is that, see the time in which these piaus are built or are, established. These are the times where we see caste clashes. There's, a discrimination. Uh, I am I would maybe making a kind of a statement which I'm sure it is not documented, but I think the piaus have given me a kind of a thinking that I see these piaus donated by different communities, but they are not built only for that community. They are totally built for the city, and you don't see any discrimination. All the piaus are meant for totally the whole city, for any human being coming and drinking water, taking place, taking rest there. So these are, pause spaces, and today the effort conservation would be to convert them into cultural pause spaces. That is what I have coined. That I think today drinking water is, we take it for granted. So we have taken it for granted that okay, we have to pay for drinking water. But I think these are best examples of that philanthropic effort in the yesteryears, where the water is actually free and it is also creatively dispensed. So now you see slowly the size growing. Again, The Kothari Pyao, Devidas Parbudas Kothari Pyao, opposite to the GPO, General Post Office, and you have a Kabutar Khana with it. And this is one of the successful restoration which was taken up. I was the architect, and the right hand one is also Kothari Pyao. Okay, Madhav Das, Lakshmi Das Kothari, opposite to Metro Cinema. This also, of course, you must have, many of us have seen these shrines. So that is an animal pyao. And we'll be seeing some interesting facet of this. But today we are just talking of the architectural expression. First use, so the first one, the left hand side one, again you will see lot of resemblance, lot of common factors which you have been seen in the initial pyos, and but they are growing in size. So you have that interesting aspect of the arches, then the whole the pyao, the whole structure itself becomes a kind of a water collection, through which the water is dispensed through the water tank on top of it, which is covered by that decorative frieze, and you have the minarets. And I will talk about this later when we are talking of this as a case study, and we'll talk of the architectural expression also that time. And then the bit Madhavdas, Lakshmidas Kothari Pyao, where you see the shrines, these temples, and the main activity of drinking water, which is meant for the animals, which is centrally located. So see the whole creative aspects, creative expression, the alterations, combinations, which with this whole pyos have been made. Very princely pyos, I would say. So you have one in the vet hospital, which is commonly known as the Bail Ghoda Hospital at Parel. Today it is like a garden structure. In his active years, it would have been actually a pyao. What is the pyao here? So if you see closely, you see that statue there inside. That's not a pyao. The pyao is around it. So the garden, the planters around it actually were animal troughs, and those have been converted into garden planters today. So see a different kind of example. Okay. The central one is very interesting. You see a proper bulbous dome adorning the top, the first kind of one of its kind. And of course, the expression below is very common. I will not mention it because it is too repetitive. But the main factor is the bulbous dome. And the interesting facet is that the plaque here, which I will show later, has a crown of the English monarch, the British monarch, carved on it. So this pyao was built by the funds collected by the shopkeepers of Crawford Market. It is in the backyard of the Crawford Market near the tea stall today. And therefore, you see the bulbous dome which depicts royalty, monarchy, the royal monarch. So see the creativity with which this have been sculpted. Hats off to those unknown craftsmen who have actually done it. Means it that also goes into the Indian tradition that any temple, any marvelous architectural edifice which you see in the Indian tradition don't have the architects or the craftsmen's name etched there. They are totally offered to the society. The right hand one is a very interesting pyao, which is at Ray Road, in the vicinity of which used to be the food corporation godowns, and today it is totally in ruins. But it's a very beautiful pyao where you have again you see the canopy structure, which interestingly acts also as a resting place. And I know people when I was actually going and talking to people, I know a few people who are in the mid 40s today. They say that we used to come there and sit and study. छाव में बैठ के हम लोग पढ़ते थे, because the whole locality here is mainly the mill workers basically who were living in chawls. So this see the kind of a socio-cultural multidisciplinary activity. It is not only drinking water. Yes, it is meant for drinking water, and it has strong associational value of memory, so built in the memory of someone. So this is commonly known as Kusumbala Pyao. It has very so all the pyals actually, if you see, I put it that every pyao has a different tale to narrate. And now the royal ones, I would say. So I would say start from the left hand side this time, or I think I'm from the center one. The central part, if you see, I think it says for it, so I don't have to mention. Means so much architectural expression. You have the pilasters, the Corinthian order, capitals, the pediment, all Roman Greek architecture flowing out. Then you beautifully centrally located, and the water spout and the water bowl and the canopy structure. Uh, just keep this image in mind, and when you see the distress later, you will find how it changes. So one of the best pyals the city has seen. Now the right hand one, the first pioneering restoration works which we did, the Keshoji Naik fountain at Masjid Bandar. I'm sorry, here it is named Masjid. I'm very sorry for that, but it is actually Masjid Bandar. I don't want to deviate from this, but as I think everyone, every heritage enthusiast must be knowing, it is Masjid Bandar, which is not named after a masjid, but it is a Jewish synagogue in the vicinity of Dogri. So this is in right in center of Dana, this Bhat Bazar, and it's a beautiful canopy structure and a clock tower. And the relation here again is Keshavji Naik, and I think all Mumbaikars must be knowing this wealthy gentleman who built a Keshavji Naik Chawl, where a important kind of a socio, again a religious, not a religious, a cultural event which originated is the Sarvajanik Ganesh Utsav, which we know. So if you see closely, we'll see the details later. You see his bust adorning on top of the arch. But see the whole expression again. It has brackets. Those would be, I would say, from Gujarat. Then you have the whole shrine coming up, which you will later see. It actually resembles Orison kind of, kind of a temple. And below you have the pilasters, which are more Gothic. Okay, and see the materials. You see the change. So I think I will leave this here because we're talking the styles. We'll again come to this again. And now the left side, which is called a Mankur Bai, which was also a successful restoration taken up by Kalagoda Association, which was handled by my dear friend Pankaj. Here it is purely animal pyao, and it is abutting the honeymoon circle, and of course there used to be a well there, where if you go there now, you will have a cast iron enclosure, which are the steps going to the well. The well is now declared contaminated by the corporation, but till recent years, the people there say that water used to be filled from here and taken to the share bazaar. Okay. As we know, the share market originated in Bombay Green, which is the honeymoon circle today. So the importance of this pyao is, it is, I think it is one of the best pyaos which is located, very, very strategically located. If you see today also, it is in the central line of Churchgate, then the St. Thomas Cathedral, Flora Fountain, then the church, the cathedral, then honeymoon circle or the Bombay Green and the Asiatic Society. So it actually is at one of the best locations in the city. And today, of course, you see in the morning where there must have been or those share brokers going around and Victorias lined up. Today you have cabs lined up in the morning and they use it for washing. That's a reality. So beauty and diversity. I think you all will agree to this. A closer looks at some interesting elements. The bowls. What is it? It's a basin. It's merely a basin but see the whole expression. It is like a blooming lotus, and then there are layers. It actually astonished me, and it touches, it touches us with the sensitivity with which it is done. So when you're drinking water, actually, you actually are celebrating that act of drinking water. The spouts, water spouts in form of gomuks. This gomuk is one of the pyas which I have personally not been able to locate, but it was mentioned by Dr. Varsha Shitgaonkar. It is somewhere in Masjid area, in Mohammad Ali Road area, or mainly I would say the whole shopping lanes. And that has been converted into, it is actually now covered with lot of shopping activity, but it's a closer look. And then different kinds of, you have seen the lion heads. Basically, you see a lot of lion head spouts in the uh, in the in the pyas. I see a pattern here that it goes towards royalty. There's nothing documentation, but I like to actually imagine, and I think we need to be imaginative to express and to celebrate it. Then a closer look at other ornate areas. So you have decorative friezes, you have brackets, you have arches. You can see Gothic, Bombay Gothic creeping in. Then you have multifoliated arches, which I don't know in which style you would put it. Simpler arches with the water bowls, or pediments which have multifoliations on their sides, or relief panels. Basically, it's like, it is endless. I can go deeper inside, and I would, uh, I would just, I can't just stop. Then you have finials of different kind. The central one is of Keshavji Naik fountain, where I told you it resembles a Orison shrine. Or you have, you know, Gothic elements, which sometimes the Gothic elements are actually, confluencing with Indian elements here. So the crowning elements, basically. Then animal depictions are fabulous. You have elephant motifs, you have peacock here, peacock motifs. These are from Keshavji Naik fountain, basically. Or you have the Nandi motifs. Means, of course, this has to be Nandi, because, to give the sanctity, a sacredness to the whole architectural expression. What does the elephant stand for? What does the peacock stand for? I have my own story. I think I would instigate you all also to think. And whenever you see any any heritage edifice or heritage element, don't stop imagining yourself, because there is nothing imagining. No harm in imagining. So here, you have a relation to water. Obviously, I don't have to mention the peacock celebrating water. But what does the elephant stand for? Maybe royalty, maybe authority, or maybe the Hasta Nakshatra, which actually is the last phase of a heavy rainfall. I think it can be anything. And then the memory etched in stone, in memory of some demised one, or arrival of some important person. So if you see on the right hand corner, you can fairly roughly see those, that crown beach, that is from Ford Market Piao, which I Bulbous Dome. And the painstaking etching which is going into it's so beautiful. And the left hand corner one, if you see that, actually, you have to be very sensitive. So I have been keeping tab. So my friends tell me, okay, this is being opened. So some road works were happening at one piao, and when they actually uh, took off the whole paving, part of the piao got exposed, and we could see the beautiful etching coming out. So now we know that we have to take care of it. Okay. Some interesting facets. You see the swastik. Of course, you will say, is it a Nazi? No, of course, but I don't know. There's no answer to this. But it's like, it's uh, you can't say what exactly it resembles. But I think more than that, what we should see, again I'm coming, that this actually are testimony that these are philanthropic initiatives by individuals, which are the origins of the CSR today? Yes, of course. So that brings us to a kind of a juxtaposition in the urban context today. I am putting two very contrasting aspects to it. Water charity, that also with aesthetics. That is what the Piaus offer us. And water as a commercial commodity, which today is a reality. You have the water ATMs coming up without any aesthetics. Ask the question to yourself, and I think the answer is very clear, that what is lacking today and what needs to be done today, and that is what we are trying to. Before we go ahead with what are the success stories, some twisting tales I will share, which will astonish you. What is this, you would ask? It looks like a shrine. Yes, today it is a shrine of the beloved Ganpati Bappa, or the Sri Ganesh. This is in the vicinity of the Yellowgate police station, which falls into the jurisdiction of BPT, the Bombay Port Trust or Mumbai Port Trust today. If you closely see, you see those pedestals around the shrine. Those used to be the water troughs, and on the left side you see that small bowl, which used to be the water bowl. So today, so this was presented by Rao Bahadur Keshavji Nathu Sailor. This is what the plaque says. I am actually typing, I have typed whatever it says. To the trustees of the Bombay Port Trust. But now today, it is very innovatively, very creatively converted into a shrine. The colors also are painted, basically. So this is what the city would do to very interesting structures. And this is human psychology, and more than that, Indian psychology, that we start worshipping anything what we think, which we it's like transformation of a utility to sacredness. So it is like utility enshrined, the changing context. One of the rarest piaus, which or drinking water fountain, I would say, which is in cast iron. So this you would find near the GST Bhavan in the island, Traffic Island. See the interesting story. It is built in memory of that Henry when he fell down from the buggy on a stormy night. This is from the Mumbai Reader. I have taken quote from it, basically. But I was very astonished to find this sketch, which was shared by a friend. Found that, Rahul, see this, what it says, and already we had seen this piao, and we knew that something is going to be there inside, and this is going to means now we need to see how we can rehouse it somewhere. Okay, but see, this is a lot of oral history going around this whole interesting heritage. And see the whole expression. I had spared this from the main list, a few of these piaus, because I wanted to talk about it. See the whole expression. You can see the lion spouts in the sketch, which are not seen here. You can uh, uh, faintly see those. I'm just taking you through a journey. I think this would raise, the anxiousness, the anxiety, the curiosity, and that is what is needed. I would not boost that. I would know lot of things about this, but my main aspect is that I take the story ahead and convert this yesteryear, lost heritage structures into a reality which could be used today. That is my main aspect. Okay, so maybe there are fountains which were lost to the city. Unfortunately, we can't do many fountains of this which we are talking today. the question would be how they can be revived. We'll come to it. I thought I should, mention about this. So before we come to it, one more interesting aspect. This is the Kothari Peva, as you saw, opposite to Metro. And what I have shown here is the timeline. How it has changed. So on the left hand top corner, you have the original structure, which is from the book by Dr. Varsha Shidgaonkar. Today you can't see it. That was an animal piyav, and the actual plaque also mentions it that this is purely animal piyav. After that, in the mid 80s, it was converted, I think, by the Rotary Club into a drinking water fountain, which is in ruins today. And what I would like to bring to your notice is that see the deterioration or the aging happening between two materials. See the original structure of the piyav, which is in stone, which is aging gracefully. I repeat, aging gracefully. That is what heritage stone structures do happens. They age gracefully. And see the central element, which is, I would say, in contemporary materials, like mainly it is a concretized kind of a structure, which is deteriorating. It is not aging. And that is what we need to be sensitive enough. Whatever we are adding to the original edifice, we need to actually complement it. Maybe it is in a new material, but it is not, this is not complementing. So of course, this is in pipeline of restoration. This is being done by the Mumbai Corporation directly, but I just wanted to show you the interesting kind of facet, how it is changing with time. I have been doing this for many piyavs, that documenting them, even though whenever it is the restoration can happen, it will happen, but at least let's document it. So from 2008, I have been observing all these piyavs and documenting them, sketching them, photographing them. And today my team humbly but confidently, we boost off a documentation of these heritage structures. A very interesting historical coincidence. Again, to Mr. Kawaji Jahangir. The right hand corner is the piyav in the Crawford Market, or today's Mahatma Phule Mandai. And exactly a copy, or I would say a brother, which was also donated by Kawaji Jahangir, is in London. See the interesting historical coincidence. I don't have to mention that, of course, the Crawford Market is in process of restoration and successfully being done by the corporation. But yet the piyav has not been taken into consideration. I hope that happens. So the approach to conservation, I would come to that. I would start with the heritage cycle. You can juxtapose or you can put any heritage structure in this. Today we have the piyavs, our beloved piyavs. So this is how the heritage circle goes. You care for it. The heritage leads the society to experience and enjoy. That is caring. Experience and enjoy, which leads to the urge or desire to understand it. Understanding and exploring teaches us how to value heritage. Valuing for heritage leads to caring for it. And again, the circle completes. So what is conservation? Conservation is completing this cycle with any element of this which is missing. I'm just putting in simple terms. So everything has to be together. So it's like conserving, making it enduring. So conserving and celebrating it, basically. So the insights which come across when such a heritage structure, which is very difficult to imagine in today's context. So what are the challenges and opportunities? So when we are working closely with the Mumbai Corporation, which has a very which has a dedicated heritage sale, and I would actually compliment that very dedicated personals are working there, which have also a very creative approach. So they really complement to these efforts. Okay. So what is the potential for reviving these pyaus? Of course, it is immense. That definitely the question to ask that do they need restoration? Maybe it is not necessary, but yes, why not? I would say that we can't just restore them as tombstones. They should be restored for the aesthetics also and for the utility also. So therefore, I mentioned, no, therefore they should be restored to create cultural pause spaces. That is a term which I have coined. So what do I mean by cultural pause space? That today, what drinking water, definitely yes, they have to be revived to whatever percent. Along with it, we create a cultural space around it with information plaques, with kind of a dedicated paved area where people can come either as tourists or either as passerbys. And while drinking water, there is a kind of a socio-cultural exchange happening. Okay, of course today we are socializing with a distancing. That's a passing phase, I'm sure, but the city is in need of such socializing spaces, and these are the cultural pause spaces which would come up with the pyaus in the center. So the evolution of the pyaus, as we mentioned, as we saw, these are the factors which the conservation actually, the factors which are taken into consideration. I just run through because I think I can say this with the case studies. So the evolution, the architectural expression which we saw, the patronage patterns and the associational values which the plaques say, the site locus, the documentation which becomes an interesting tool, and understanding the water engineering becomes very crucial to revive the water facility. So the first distress which we see is losing the context. This is the Lauji Megji Pyao at Ray Road, which was which was a very active space. Today, as you see, it is in the ruins, but it is yet at a very strategic location. The other one is at Maheshwari Udyan or King Circle. If you see the red dot, that is the Pyao, which today you will find inside a garden. But what is lost is this. This is a old picture in which you see the Pyao and see the Maheshwari Udyan, how it used to be with the tram going by. I actually had come across a similar one of Dadar TT, which is today's Kodadat Circle. With the Pyao, I'm sure it was a Pyao because the pattern shows that every such central space, and I think not to mention this whole area is one of the first designed urban design spaces in the city. So I think see the strategic location of this Pyao, which actually makes it more relevant. Today, surprisingly and very happily, I would say this is one of the few Pyos. Because of the material marble, it has not deteriorated to that extent, and then we have the distresses coming up. I call this the Gulitan Pyao or the Shirechit Jhalela Pyao. So this is the Pyao opposite to Shiv Sena Bhavan, the Sena Bhavan, and where you have the Kohinoor Tower coming up, where initially the Kohinoor wheel was there. So I have to mention why the Pyao was there, but sometimes the deterioration actually allows you to study the Pyao. So if you see the two valves which are exposed, those are they show how the water engineering must have happened. So this has given a lot of insights to us. This we would be housing somewhere near Shivaji Park with its brother, uh, with a similar one, exact similar one, along the footpaths of Shivaji Park. Okay, then you have because of the neglect, you have a lot of deterioration happening to the actual Pyao, the vegetation growth, the broken elements, the soot coming out, the stone weathering, etc., etc. This is totally mapped. What we do, we map it totally. The pattern, the misuse of the Pyaos, the broken elements, and the neglect. And then again, two important things of the changing context. This is what the beautiful which you know, covered and used in the vicinity of a police chowki. Therefore, it is totally covered. So it needs to be revived that way. And the right one is Sulabh Saule. So you can see how it is losing its context. Its rightful, I would say the rightful position would be near the entrance of the museum today. So, in a nutshell, I put this pie chart to understand proposed restoration 70% approximately, highly damaged, the painted was demolished, and restored percent that go to almost like 20% in a few months or in a year. And the mission is to complete the whole Piao and convert it into a sky blue. And this is what happened. This is the way we have been doing documenting. So mainly we start mapping it, and as ward wise, location, the patronage pattern, the and the year of establishment, just to create an itinerary. And slowly we have built up this whole kind of itinerary, and this was submitted to the corporation as a report, which now successfully has been approved, and we are going ahead. These are few examples of the painstaking uh, de- detailed drawing or documentation drawings which we have collected. This itself actually would become a kind of a documentation kind of a book which we intend to do. And the case studies. So the first pioneering conservation effort, which is the Keshavji Naik fountain at Masjid Bandar. The location, the strategic location, if you see at the crossroads, the red dot, and the area which is totally a commercial area in the yesteryears of Bhat Bazar, Dana Bazar. This Piao is inside the Bhat Bazar area, and you see the docks in the vicinity, so you can understand the importance. So the first, when we restore anything, understanding the historic significance, and what more can be historical significance than the plaques. You see 1876, by the then governor, it was given to the society. And Keshavji, see the interesting spellings also coming out. Keshavji Naik fountain. Okay, so this this is in bilingual. We have the Gujarati plaque also. So we start with this, and a background research is done. We are unfortunately finding very less archival photos, but there are a few photos of this. We didn't find any. So it starts with this, the condition mapping, trees coming out, making it a jungle book Piao. Then the colors, which you don't know if really what color it is, and the community actually using it its own sense. The clock space above the tower was used as an apartment, a small kind of you know to apartment for a person, and then you have the chai ki tapri, etc., etc. So this is the pattern for you. Tree going, the roots, penetrating the whole structure. We have to actually dismantle the whole pedestal, and then this is the condition mapping. If you see the green, grayish green, that is actually a encroachment which was happening. But see the beautiful plan, the water troughs on for the animals, which is the longer one on the left hand side, and then the shorter, and a beautiful canopy structure with pedestals at the four corners where the earthen pots used to be kept. This is actually a oasis in the urban context, I would say. And then when we started peeling off the color layers, beautifully the red Agra pilasters, the canopies in Porbandar limestone, then the base, the plinth in Kurla stone, and the main structure in yellow ochre mallard stone started coming out. I was a happy person that time. And then the painstaking, we actually made it pardarshil in that whole urban area, and the work was going on. And you see how you can see that the root which is coming out, and the pedestal being stone dressed. And this is now and then. how it got transformed. And now today, so how the community reacts to this. Today, actually, after that, I saw this featured on a grocery store pamphlet. People started using it and relating to it. This is the transformation which we were able to do. Just to mention now and then. Okay, Mr. Keshavji Neck fountain coming out. The Nandi bursts which were restored. Real view which shows the strategic location and how the community reacts. Actually, it was inaugurated by the hands of the then CM, Mr. Devendra Fadnavis, and see how people actually, they were lined up. They had a red carpet, they had a ribbon around it, and the community actually lined up to drink water, and they are now proud today. So this is how community positively reacts. So what we did, we also had our plaque and we put this there: die, thirst, repose to quench, handful of life. Just a contribution to the edifice which is standing proudly today. The Devidas Parbudas Kothari Pyao and Kabutar Khana, the second restoration, successful restoration, is over to. Again, the strategic location. Here you have an important structure behind it in form of GPO, and you see the architecture reflecting it. No documentation, but you can see exactly in this archival photo shared by my senior friend Mr. Harshad Bhatia, and that gave me a lot of insights. So, to the historical significance coming out from this archival photo and from this information plaque. From the archival photo, we are able to understand the Kabutar Khana, the actual shape of the Kabutar Khana, the stone bollards which were scattered around, which were painstakingly collected, and the architectural style which was reflecting in the whole edifice in form of minarets and friezes and brackets which complemented the GPO in the Indo-Saracenic styling. So again, you can see how it was in the state. You had another shrine covering it. No one knew that there was a Pyao there. One fine evening, I just happened to see what is jutting out from there. So then I saw, then I went to my senior friend in the heritage cell. We inquired. Then they said, yeah, there is in process. So actually, we made up. I don't know why it is going. Okay, sorry. Okay, the restoration work in process, you can see, I don't need to mention, but I'll go to an interesting facet next. We actually added an installation here to commemorate or to, celebrate another heritage element, which is the lamplighter. So this was a sculpture which created that, because there was a remnant of a pedestal which you see in a drawing and which was a base for the gas lamp. So why not we have this element here? And I think every passerby is today celebrate is appreciating it. That is an in process photo of the sculpture, and you see the restored whole edifice coming out. This is the now and then now, how it restored the bowl, the spout, the frieze, decorative frieze. The now and then again, you can see how it used to be and how it has come out today. Yes. Okay, the shrine which used to hide it and now devoid of that. This is a again the grill which was also hiding the whole openness, that also got exposed. And an interesting thing what we did was digitizing heritage, I would say. We added a QR code. So the idea of the QR code is that we have every QR code to every Piao circuit, Piao element, and we have this whole Piao circuit along the city, which would actually integrate it in the circuit. So if you're visiting any Piao, you get the information, you flash, scan this QR code, you have the whole information which is in a precise, concise form on the plaque, but you can read about it, or if you have some heritage walks, etc., etc., about it, you can have it, and you know that where you are. And then it could go to any extent that you could have utility aspects related to it, and then you could know that there are if there are 30 odd piaos, then there are, if you are at one place, there are 21 more piaos to be seen. So that is the aspect which was successfully, as a on an experimental basis, and I think that is taken up now elsewhere also. So this is how it got restored. It got inaugurated at the hands of we have he's a minister today, Mr. Aditya Thackeray, and the mayor of that time. So we actually drank water. It's so here what we have done is that we have a tank. So the structure here has a water tank on top it. So we have a water filter installed here, and we have the overhead tank and the underground tank through which the water. So this is drinking water. Yes, it needs maintenance that is being taken up by the corporation now. So this Piaos in Baikal, I just run through fastly the locations, the strategic locations. I will not waste time. We have seen this, but this is the interesting facet: the cast iron, original cast iron overhead tank, which now we will be replacing with a steel tank now, because then it can house more proper water. And it's a interesting facets again. The deterioration patterns, then the schemes. So if you see here, the interesting aspect is you have the tree leaning towards it, which you can't cut the tree. So maybe we have thought that we have a lamp post with a bracket, which would actually hold the tree so it can relieve the load on the piao. So these are, improvisations and creative kind of ideas which pop up, and we try to discuss with the officials, and we together create this whole scheme. So in a few years, in a year's time, I think you can see this piaos with in drinking water with facilities in VJB Udyan, with interesting environment created around it. Okay. One interesting thing which we are doing is this one. This is a pia, as I told you, we found, so we have decided taking clue from other piaos. We are going to add to this, and this won't be a drinking water fountain, but we found a barren space there in VJB Udyan, which would be created in a public space, and we would install this fountain there and create a beautiful kind of a koi pond around it. Just to come, because we have other piaos which can be drinking water fountains. Under Vitthal Piao, as I told you, this is what another strategic location. And then again, we have been observing it through 2008, 2009, just observing what it is today, then seeing the deterioration patterns, seeing the elements, documenting it, and then we have the scheme, which I would present to you as a public space. So we are creating it as a public space. Okay. This is a interesting piao which also is being restored. Okay. Sketch just to understand the context. The plaque I mentioned to you, and we impelled the developer to protect it to some extent till it is getting restored, because now the development has started happening of the Rangari Badakchar, which is in the vicinity, and a proposal how it can be created into a public space. Here the lamp post would actually have the plaque, then lot of it has a water tank also here. It will be underground tank, then it will have a filter, everything will be there. It is very painstakingly detailed out. So I would just go ahead. It doesn't stop there, technical restoration. What I do is that it's like creative expression of the piaos also. Sometimes it form of a device, sometimes just sketches. I've just been exploring those. And then sometimes it gives an opportunity. This was an entry which I sent to a kind of a landscape, urban landscaping contest. I thought let's try to, I have been speaking of the Piaus at different forums, right from the General Assembly of ICOMOS in 2018, to sending it to entries, to speaking on archaeological diocese, to diocese like what we are speaking today. This was how it can become a public element with all activity happening. I think that actually is important to bring it at the center stage. So that is the Piao as a cultural oasis in the urban landscape, which we see today. People using it very effectively, very actively. So that is what we thrive to do: conserve, cherish, celebrate through. Of course, I take students there as part of it, allow them to express. That's a beautiful bookmark which we have created. Today we are not physically meeting, but I would be keen to share this with whoever is interesting. Whenever we meet, actually during some Piao walk or some Piao discussions, I would like to share that with you. And then the city takes notice of it through lot of press clippings. My friend Mr. Rajendra Aklekar, who actually, he's the person who that, okay, you are the Piavist, okay, well, fine, you are giving me that name, I accept it. So he's in midday to now, but he has been very on my side every time to initiate all these activities. So these are the things which have been taken notice of. I'll just go through. And then this is the best of 2018 in midday. This was best news of 2018 midday. It was a pleasant surprise that the news of the Piaus was there, and then it found its place as a backdrop of a music concert at Mumbai Sanskriti. So it was a recognition given. And I would end it with this Piao, which we lost on 12th December 2010. This was lost, this was demolished as part of the monorail expansion. So we forget, I think we should end this interesting talk with memory of this, that we should not lose more Piaus like this. So I would end with this quote by Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore. I think we have been talking of big edifices, but this rightly, when I read this, I was able to relate it with the Piaus, that for many years at great cost, I traveled to many countries, saw the high mountains, the ocean. The only things I did not see were the sparkling dewdrops in the grass just outside my door. I think these are dewdrops which we have been missing. So this is one interesting, what you see in the photo was a Rangoli, which one fine morning it struck me that on Diwali, why don't we celebrate Piao? So I just spoke to my friends. We went there on Lakshmi Puja, the Rangoli, and we just tried to, speak. So that's it. I would thank my team, Vastuvidan, and my senior friend, Dr. Vasha Shirgaonkar, Rajendra Aklekar, and my archaeologist friend Swapna Doshi, who have been on my side. And a big thank to my friend Bharat and the whole Khaki team. Yes, I think your khaki yellow complements the blue of the fountains. Thank you.
Great. That was a very apt ending, sir. So it was a very insightful talk. As an architect myself, I could relate to the drawings so much more. But I'm sure there are plenty of people out there who have a lot of pressing questions.
Yeah.
Right. So there has been a lot of questions, and the first of one comes from Farouk, who is asking, is the list of 31 Piaus indicative or exhaustive, and how many of these 31 are still in good shape?
Okay. I think we are talking of the list which we have today done as part of the to be restored payouts is 21, not 31.
Okay.
If I had spoken it, so it is 21, which are under the jurisdiction of Mumbai Corporation, MCGM,
Okay.
totally. So those are the 21 payouts. It is 21 plus 2 because the 21 is a number which we proposed afterwards. Before that, Keshavji Fountain was the first public-private participation example, which was taken up by the Derasar, which was successfully done in 2015. Then two of the payouts, mainly the Manpuar Bai payau, was taken up by Kala, and the Kothari payau opposite to Metro is being done as part of the fort restoration, directly handled by the corporation.
Okay.
So 21 payouts, of which the 4 payouts of Vijay Udyan are being tendered as phase 1 of this 21, and then the rest 21 are we are conceptualizing the conservation schemes. What about the rest payouts? Though the other payouts which are in private, maybe the in the railway, some are in the railway hospital premises. 2-3 are mainly the Ganpati, the Yellow Gate police station, and Kusumbala Payau or the Lovji Payau. Those are in the Mumbai Port Trust jurisdiction. So therefore, they don't feature in this 21. So collectively, I think it is near to 30, something like that. Of course, means so if you say the lost ones, which I think Bharat, we have been speaking about, so I think the list would go to something like 30 to 31 odd.
Okay. Okay. And there's a follow-up question by Chandrasekhar Nene, who is asking if any of these are still serving water for drinking purposes. And if not,
Okay.
he has a suggestion that they might be used for dispensing sanitizer.
Okay, very good. I think these are ideas which need to be thought of. But I'm very proud to say that yes, the marble fountain in Maheshwari Udyan is still active. Students, I have seen children drinking water. Fortunately, today I think Mumbai city has potable water dispensed. Yes, I don't think RO means I would not mention in that I'm not an expert, but I think yes, we need filtered water definitely. But I think the water we dispense by the in the city is potable. So the restoration of the 2 restorations which we did, one namely the Keshavji fountain, where the water dispensing is very different. There it is not a tap; it is actually the matkas which are kept, and the trust is investing in a person who sits there today also, and with a lota he gives fresh water, free water to the passerby. And I think in 1 hour, almost like 30, 40 to 50 people drink free water today. So when I go there also, he will offer you sab jal lelo. So the Kothari Payau which we restored has a direct water dispensing through a water spout. So there we took painstaking efforts were gone into to revive the water engineering from a overhead tank through a underground tank. We installed a water filter, and today you can actually drink water. Yes, there has to be, which has to be done. There is the maintenance. The corporation to many people that is in process. So this aspect now we have actually we are trying. We have it as part of the tender. We'll be putting it as part of the tender of the 21 payouts, where the contractor will be taking up the maintenance. So actually, of this all these 21 payouts, almost like 90% will be dispensing drinking water, definitely. But I think I can take notice. I would really note this down. What your suggestion is very good. This creative ideas need to be thought of.
Thank you. Thank you. So there is a question that I also had in my mind, that what is the source of water for all these payouts? Is there a network that they are connected through, and are they built over existing aquifers? And another follow-up question by Anirban Majumdar is especially when the CP tank wasn't there and Vihar Tulsi, what was the source of the water for these payouts?
Actually, these have come up during those water infrastructure projects. So these are actually part of that. As you, Bharat, you know that all the fountains in the city have actually mushroomed. I think that whole thing must have been a public-private participation. The corporation must have, or the governing body must have offered people to come ahead and invest in this. So therefore, you see this pleasure fountains or a confluence of the Split fountain is actually partly a Piao also at a fountain also, or the Flora fountain, the celebrated Flora fountain. So all this had pipe water, had a proper network of water. Today, I think today water is a important, means it is a precious commodity, but in those times, I think water must be flowing. Is because if you see the whole water engineering, it is flowing water basically. And we hear stories also. We have heard stories from our seniors that there used to be water flowing. So unfortunately this can't happen today, and it doesn't have to. But what is important is that what I see is that these are spots which are still at strategic locations. And if I have been whenever many of my friends who have toured Europe, and I've seen photos basically. So there are examples where still water fountains are used. I won't comment on how effectively they are used, but Mumbai city has an opportunity to revive and boost of this very creative heritage, which can also be a utility aspect. Therefore, I said that let's not see them as merely drinking water spots. Let's create them into cultural pause spaces where maybe we could actually commemorate that, okay, this is the Piao of a restaurant here. Some places maybe we may have to have a drinking water facility which is more contemporary. So but yes, this Piaos, if you for example the Piao at the Ramji Setiba Piao at Shivaji Park, when I was speaking to many friends there, or in fact the personals or the officials also, it is easily revivable. And actually the passers by there, the morning walkers and all these people, actually it will be effectively used, and it was used till the 60s. After that, unfortunately, we actually we started neglecting these things. Maybe if it would not have happened, we today we would have spoken about it in a different way. Okay. But yes, now it is, I think it is, we are custodians, and I frankly think that I don't want to restore them as tombstones. Either they should be memories of, to instigate this act of charity and philanthropy, and we used as strongly as public utility aspects.
Right. On the Europe's note, we have a question from Sukhi, who is referring to the aqueducts that Rome has, and they're still very well maintained, and they would have supplied water for centuries. Yes. And it's such an inspiration. But I would just like to add on to that that the whole of Italy's population is about 1/3 of Mumbai's population. Yeah. So I think we have a numbers play a big role in how these Correct. Things are actually conserved. Yes. Would you like to comment on that, Rahul sir?
I think these are insights more than I commenting. I think I am also actually learning a lot of things. Which is, this is a very interactive. It has to be. So as I said that in my humble capacity, yes, I am proud that I am also confident that I am contributing to this. But I am not the last word here. I think there could be a lot of ideas which are popping up, and maybe those, when shared with me or many of the people who are active in this, we could actually come out with very creative ideas. What I have tried to do is that, in the, as you Bharat rightly mentioned, is that we have a constraint in terms of the population, and today the locations, that is what, therefore I showed the examples of losing the context basically. So I think we need to understand the context, and there are 2-3 sites where we'll actually have to replace them, or reshift them. They shift it to different locations. The first thing would be to because the locations also have an associational value. So I would like to answer, comment on this, as my friend she has mentioned about the aqueducts. Yes, they give inspiration to us that why do we have to ask a question to why restore. I think how to restore would be the thing we need to strive for. And therefore, these things are not merely drinking water facilities. No? As you say, as I showed you, these are memories etched in stone, and I think they should continue to further generations, and they should actually become a identity of Mumbai city. So I would like Mumbai city to be, known for the Pyavs. Also, at the way it is known for Gateway of India, why not it be known for the Pyavs also?
Yeah. There are two questions. I mean, there's one question which is almost similar to another question. So one is by Anirban and the second is by Rutvik, and they are asking if the fountains are built merely for commemorative and decoration purposes, and of course we know the other use, which is actually for drinking water. So is there a mix of these two, or is there
I think
either
it's
or?
I think it's a creative expression of all this. Therefore, I said it's a confluence of the utility aspect and very creatively, mingled or joint with that aspect of charity, because water charity is considered pious in Indian tradition, and the memories. Therefore, I said it becomes very important that these are historical markers. So they actually are the tangible sources of the oral history of Mumbai city. Just imagine if Keshavji Naik fountain is gone, today we don't know that Keshavji Naik has contributed. And Keshavji Naik, I think, I would not mention, because this has been written in the book by Dr. Varsha Shirgaonkar. He was a very strong person, because what I've read is that he had the authority to stop hanging. Means that is the might of the natives, which we don't know today, because that, of course, we know that those were the backbones to the colonial masters also in terms of finances. But we see a creative use of this finance for the community, and that, I think, can give us clue today. It really pains that we see that deteriorating water ATM or water dispensing unit on the railway stations, devoid of any creativity. Means, I think, why can't we have aesthetics in public architecture today, which is totally missing? And these are best examples of how these dewdrops, which I really like to term them as, have that very minute kind of intricacy, adorning them and creating them into beautiful historical landmarks, which are not merely just landmarks, as utility aspects also.
Right. There's a technical question by Nath, who is asking if there were no power pumps, how did the Pyavs maintain water pressure and head?
This is mainly, therefore I said, no, they were flowing water. That question actually comes to me every time. But the simple question answer to it, what I see, that just flowing water, it is through the gravitational thing. And today means it is very impossible to understand that. And therefore we actually I have been talking to many senior plumbing personals or service personals in terms of documenting this kind of water engineering. We are in the process. So every Pyav, when we are restoring, it shows that, yeah, so the Pyav which really broken in front of Sena Bhavan, it shows a mere kind of the water, how it must be actually dispensed. So it's more through the gravitational aspect.
Right. We will take one last question, and that comes from Ashish, who is asking if you could shed some more light on the Mumbai Pyav project in short.
Okay. Mumbai Pyav project is actually just an identity, an interesting identity to, to dispense the info of what is happening of these Pyavs on a social platform. So it is a Facebook page. It is not an organization. It is just a identity given to the activity which is happening. Of course, now today it has become talk of the town, I know, definitely. But it is, so under that umbrella, my architectural firm Vasudan Projects, which predominantly works into the restoration, is happening. Then all my friends who contribute to it, Rajendra Aklekar, Swapna Joshi, all this, we try to put forward interesting aspects on this. So if some news is there, or if I go to, so when I went to Jammu, I saw this Nalka. So then I said that, okay, let's share this. So I thought a common platform should be there. So therefore we have the Instagram account and the Facebook account where you have the Mumbai Pyav project, in which we dispense all these activities so people come to know about it.
Great. With that, we end the question and answers. If there is anybody in the audience who wants to ask themselves directly, you can do so. You can unmute yourself and ask questions. Is there anyone?
Yes, that's me. I wanted to ask a question.
Sure.
Yeah.
Rahul sir, I just had this one question that.
Can I know your name?
It's Rutvik Joshi, sir. Rutvik Joshi.
Okay.
Sir,
yeah.
I had this one question that can we restore the Pyavs in a way that can also bring the Bishti community back into business?
Sorry, I didn't get you exactly.
The Bishti community, sir, they had their occupation was distributing water around during the 18th and the 19th century.
Yeah, okay, I got it. Okay, yeah. I will just answer that. That's a total socio-cultural kind of exercise which needs to be initiated. But what the Pyavs would do is that if the Pyavs are reinstated, I think that could be the starting point for such similar socio-cultural initiatives. As simple as that. So if it's like, the Save Tiger kind of, if you save the Pyav or any heritage edifice, it becomes a kind of, you are trying to revive an ecosystem. I would put it that way.
Got it, sir. Thank you, sir.
Is there anyone else who has a pressing question, or we can call it a day?
Rahul, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, Rutvik again. I'm an architecture student, and if someone wants to be a part of your project, which is about documenting these Pyavs, is there a way students can?
You can contact me. You are free to contact me. Whatever capacity. In fact, I would say that yes, restoring it is a project in itself, and we are undertaking it. But you could photograph it. You could write about it in your personal thing. Definitely, just talking about it also is actually conserving it.
Right.
Because and I would suggest that yes, Mumbai Pyavs with institutional factor to initiated talk about the water heritage in the neighborhood of Mumbai also. There are wells which are getting deteriorated in the suburbs. Why can't we take it up and try to revive them? So I would take this opportunity to request to all the individuals, not only architects or not only any heritage who are directly related to heritage, keep your eye open. Try to be sensitive to the complete neighborhood, and try to see such spots which can become a very interesting water heritage or say any other form of heritage. Because that way we will contribute to creating a heritage ecosystem, I would say.
Right. With this, we would like to end the talk. Thank you all for joining in. Thank you especially Rahul sir for
it was my pleasure.
Very insightful. It's an eye opener because we see these things every day, and the fact that somebody has taken effort to map all of them and restore so many of them, and
thank you.
We now know by the pictures that restoring them is not an easy task. It takes effort. So thank you for doing this.
It's a multidisciplinary effort. It is a multidisciplinary task, which is.
I am sure.